feel like I need to address some things regarding the forgiveness, the level of forgiveness our brother shown yesterday. And it amazes me at how much negative, non-understanding, judgmental we can be as a collective. All of us. All of us. Nobody's excluded. All of us are included in this. Everyone has a view, a right to have a view, an opinion, a perspective. So I want to be very clear up front that this is not a challenge to anybody. Okay? It's not a challenge. What I am asking is if you would be willing to step outside of yourself. Cuddy, you need a ride? You need a ride?
Oh, no, I'm just walking, listening to some music.
Okay. I love you.
All right, love you too.
Be good. If we would be willing to step outside of ourselves and see things from a different shade of energy, a different pair of eyes. Grief is debilitating. It freaking comes into your body and it takes over every particle of self. Is killed by this. Like our brain, our heart, our body, our muscles, everything. It's heavy. You can't walk. You can't eat. You can't shower. You can't love. You can't hug your children. You can't participate because it's like you're barely catching a breath to hold on to life, right? You're barely catching a breath. There's no energy. There's nothing for anything else other than breathing. It's that intense when you're in it. And slowly, by time, it gets less and less of the initial, but there's a process to everything. And so just because we have a retirement exit date, grief does not start there. Understand, there's a process. The grief has not set in yet. 99% of us mothers who have buried a children will tell you right there in that space, you felt nothing. You weren't open to anything. Nothing was real. In a minute, I'm getting ready to get a phone call and they're getting ready to tell me that this is all for fake. This is all a joke. In a minute, somebody's going to kick in and tell me to wake up. It's a dream. It's this space. You don't feel anything. Too much noise is too much noise, and silent is the, oh my God, that place where you figure out all these things. You get these file cabinets that start flicking. You don't understand. Life's moving really, really fast, but you're standing still. So there's this space before grief even kicks in. And in that space, shit falls off. And in that space, death becomes real. Real enough to know that I'll never see this flesh again. But also real enough to recognize spirit right here next to you, because believe it or not, that's the only comfort. You outside forces can't comfort us. You have to understand time. We love you. We appreciate you. We're glad you're here. We're glad that you can feel us. But the remorse that you pour out in our space of the sorriness is too much to bear at this time. It's too much. But we're unable to communicate this to you. After, then I can look back and see the initial love energy that was being projected to me, but I was not receiving it that way because I couldn't hear you. The energy, the frequency came out garbled. It was just a lot of noise in this space. But after, when you can almost hear clear again, but your frequency has shifted to this higher level, so all the other stuff now is more intense. You feel things deeper, stronger, clearer. And everyone has a suggestion, an offering, because don't get it twisted. Most are coming with the intense, passionate of love for us. But again, you guys have to understand, those frequencies are not, it's not coming through. Our channels are mixed in some form. We're not getting it. And it's not that you're not giving it properly. It's just that we're in a different space. Remember that space I told you guys about that happens before grief? Okay? And then the fight is on. It's on and cracking at this point in time. May the best woman or man win. And it has nothing to do with nobody else but us. Please understand that. So you fight to not cry, to not feel this heat. The hate. I was so filled with hate. I couldn't sleep. I wanted so badly for somebody else to feel what I was feeling. I wanted so badly to be pointed in the direction so badly, you guys, that I made up in my mind that my daughter was guiding me to her killer. I jumped on the freeway. I had a 9mm gun and a gallon of Grey Goose. Gallon of Grey Goose was in my passenger seat with a seat belt around it, open. If the police would have pulled me over, done deal. Okay? Up the river, right? I make it to the very spot that my daughter was last seen at. Now, keep in mind that at this point, I had already found the spot. We had already went and looked what company, that space, where you don't really know, right? That initial, the day after, 2 days after. See, I got the phone call on Saturday, okay? Sunday morning, I was on the freeway with loved ones who loved me, and we went looking, okay? And we found the spot. And And when we pulled up to the spot, there was a community behind a little fourplex. You had to go through, road, get to there. But if you walk out their back door faced the spot. And when we pulled up in their driveway and we stepped out, they all ran and said, "Are you the family of? We knew we had," and you get all these conversations, right? I'm in the space. Don't forget the space. This is what we're talking about. We're talking about space. And they give it to me. The mother. "That was your baby?" "Yes." "Can you tell me what happened? Did you see?" I gain all this information, but I can't process it. Nothing's being processed. Just filling it up in this space. The time comes to bury, because you guys know this was, we got the call Saturday morning. I was in Yurupa County Sunday morning. So again, in this space, I could be off a day or two, but I'm assuming that it was Monday. May have been Tuesday morning that me and my brother for life, Matthew Gutenstein, my G Funk White, and my niece, KP, found the spot. 2 days. I'm giving myself 5 days. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 4 days in that space. But I knew where she was, the last place. Now, fast forward to the night we're talking about. After I find the space. I'm still in the space. Seatbelt, Grey Goose, 9mm, E40, sugar-free, Too Short, West Coast gangster, on the freeway, hitting it, 96 Cadillac Fleetwood Brougham. Me, my Grey Goose, and my intention to hurt somebody or myself, because I'm in the space. The hate was so full and overfilling from me that I couldn't even hug or touch my children who needed me. That's how hate affects, who also needed their mother. In this space, I was ready to pull up, and I just knew that my daughter was going to say, "That's them, Mom. That was the last person." And I was willing to do this. And when I couldn't do this to them, I parked. And I made it to my god babies. And I got loved on. And at my god baby's home in Moreno Valley, my daughter showed up for the very first time that I remember. She could have been there all along, but I wasn't capable. I was in that space, that debilitating space. Nothing is for real in this space. At least that's how we feel. This is a dream. I'm gonna wake up. I hung up on the officers 3 times, y'all. 3. Please don't call my job playing games. I'm at work. This is a horrible joke. Who are you? California Highway Patrol, ma'am. No, you're not. This is horrible. You guys don't call people with these jokes and games. This is horrible. This is a horrible thing to do. Hang up the phone. The fourth time my phone rings is my niece. And I heard her. And I was out. That's space. Okay? I had to either get down or lay down. Y'all know the rules. At that time, I didn't have the heart to get down. I was forced to lay down. I was born with a purpose. My heart had a passion that I had no idea was there. I was so busy on this outside place, so busy figuring all this stuff out on the outside and not spending enough time on the inside. So it took something like the death of my firstborn, truly my very first best friend, for me to get it. And I still don't know if I completely got it. I know I'm in it, but I fear if ever I say I've mastered it, I'm giving up on my growth. I'm always open to growing more. So I'm not going to say I've mastered it. In this space, hate poisoned me. It was truly, truly, truly the thing that came to steal because of and destroy my purpose. My children needed me to be there. And at first I was not. And it took some time. It wasn't overnight. But when I did decide to say, I don't want to feel like this anymore. First this came. Then in your room locked away. First locked away. First in your room, not coming out. Then this. And then the healing began. If you want to know those details, you're going to have to look for it. And when you find it, buy it. Because you're going to love it. It's going to teach you something about love. So I did grab the book on those details. I'm not going to go over those details, but here's what I want you to know. God had already given me the people in my circle that was going to make a divine intervention to push me. Push. Because I didn't choose then. I was pushed. And then you're here. And something's starting to make sense. Something is getting through the frequency, right? Because we're still in that space. So something's getting in the frequency. And that little bit of whatever it is that's dripping through, you're thirsty for it because you're debilitated. And you're thirsty, you're dehydrated for life. You need something, gotta feel better than this. Something's gotta work because I've tried everything and nothing is working. Something. And then you get a drop of water. Life. And it feels better. And now you want more. And now you have to learn how to get it, right? And so I draw a face with a marker. Oh, on my mirror. And first, it was angry. And I looked at that angry face, and at first I couldn't say the words, I forgive you. I looked at that angry face, and I cried and screamed from the depths. Tell me. And then the next day, I just need to know why. And then the next day, please tell me why. And then the next day, okay, I forgive you. And then the next day, okay, I'm learning. I forgive you. And then the next day, I forgive you. Because every day of trying and choosing, you get a little bit stronger. You're not going to get it in the first dose. You're not going to get it when you're not open to it. But when you decide that you no longer want to be in this dark space, and because you felt the severity of this space, you would never wish it on anybody else in life. You would not want anyone else in life to be here, and if you could stop it, you would. Don't go there. But we need it. So then if you happen to end up there, hear me when I tell you there's a quick way out. There's a shortcut. You don't have to be there for long. But you need it. And everyone's time is different in this space. Nothing is written in a bylaw that you guys, everything's the same. We're not the same. Everybody's gonna need more. Everybody's gonna need less. Some may need a dab. Some may need a whole 40 ounce. I don't know. But know that everybody has their own timing and their own process and their own way of healing. Mine had to be love. Mine had to be love. There was no other way. Nothing else would do. So I said, I forgive you. To a face that I drew on the mirror. I have never, ever, ever seen the face or heard the name of the person responsible for taking my daughter's life. And with that small bit of information of my story, people have come to the conclusion that if I ever did, sue me strongly, that if it ever happened, all of this that you guys have gotten from me and what I have gotten for myself will be null and void. Don't you love being discounted? Don't you love being cast out? I enjoy it. It's just another tool to add to my toolbox. Because when I tell you that this healing that I'm dosing out here, when I tell you it wasn't easy, when I tell you some things that I had to do, and I tell you some people I had to face, and I tell you some people that I had to get on an airplane and go sit face to face and get locked in a snowstorm for a week and be just me and him, you don't know my walk. You don't know my talk. It's not yours. It's mine. But what I have, and those who drink, and those who know, is healing. It's healing. Forgiveness was my way out. Forgiveness was my light at the end of this dark space, up and including forgiving myself for all and to any that I was responsible for having them experience that dark place. And with that, I had a chance to heal the very best love story ever. The very best love story ever. My biological father. That story right there. Catalyst of me being here. It had to happen. It had to. And because I didn't show up in that hate of shooting or defending or holding this, because I didn't show up in that space, I was able to show up in that healing space that my daddy could look at me and tell me it was never you. I loved you all along. And I had to ask questions. I needed answers to get them. And heal. And become friends. And meet the very thing, the very person, the very energy that I needed to be here now. Love, anyhow, was birthed because I gave in to the resistance. I gave in. I was persistent. I gave in. I desired. I walked it. I went there. I laced up my boots. I put my big girl pants on. I cried crocodile tears. I asked the hardest questions anybody could ever ask to the face of somebody who had no choice but to give me truth. And I had to swallow this truth. And I had to live in this truth. I had to waddle in this truth. I had to grow in this truth. And then when I was able at that point right there, bow, God gave me everything I needed. He gave me my Granny Annie. Ooh, you guys, he gave me my Granny Annie that she birthed this. Love anyhow came for forgiveness. I could have fell short. I could have responded in hate. Now, my daughter would be dead still. No actions will bring her back. I have 3 surviving kids who still need their mommy. Now their sister's gone, and now their mama's in the penitentiary for the rest of her life. Who's going to hold them? Who's going to love them? Who's going to care for them? There's actions. There's repercussions that is more bigger than your self-hate. And that's the only reason that you can have so much hate for somebody else, because there's a little bit of self-hate in any characteristics. The law's the same. If you recognize the energy, you own the characteristic, period, point blank. If that characteristic is not of, in, or you would never be able to recognize it in somebody else. You'd be confused, like, what is that? What is that? I never had that before. I never seen that. What is it? In order for you to recognize it, it has to be who you are. In you. Not on you. You can't wear a mask all the time. Mask off. Mask off. That space. Remember? We were talking about that space. So that space of releasing that poison, and then one day looking in that mirror of the face that finally came off because I showered. I had not done that in a long time. I was the funkiest in the bedroom, just stinky. My papers all over my bed, cups all over my room. It was horrible until someone who walked this walk with me, who I love her for life, made me get up, made me get in the shower, was willing to fight me to get in the shower, take a bath, soak. You stink. I love you, but you stink. Oh, I cannot stand it anymore. Get your ass up. Get up. Fuck this freak. Get the fuck up. And she ran me a bath in my bedroom. And she put me in the bathtub. And while I was in the tub, she cleaned my house. And when I got out and looked in that mirror, and I was saying, I forgive you, to that face suddenly morphed into my own face. And I could see me very clear. And I said, I forgive you for being in this space so long. If you want to know the rest of that story, follow, subscribe, and share, because we are getting ready to tell, infect this entire world with love anyhow. And I need your help. If you are already a love anyhower, thank you for being with us so long, for believing in us, for trusting in us, for having the same heart and passion that we have, right? Because you understand that love does not mean passive. Love does not mean we some punks. Okay? Love is not one-sided. Love is duality, shadow and shine. So we know to every extent of one way you can go, you have that equal value the opposite way. So don't ever get it twisted. Love just feels better when you handle the dirty work. Somehow make dirty work worth the while when you can deliver the energy and love, but still get the redirection, still get the correction, still get the healing. Peel your own scabs off. Be responsible for yourself. Love anyhow was birthed when I released grief and all its toxic family members. Grief, shame, depression, judgment, all of that stuff, or they're all related. And I replaced it with love in all its entirety, which means that, 5 degree in one person, everybody we know, that means that some people from the grief side is second cousins to somebody with the love side, because we done made babies with this stuff, and right there in between we got a baby named Compassion, and Compassion owns both the shadow side and the love side. You know what I mean? That second cousin of the cousin, that's what it is, right? So Compassion is right there in between the love and the hate. Compassion is the mutual component between the two. You embrace equal sides. So that brother yesterday that hugged that ex-officer, he showed me a level of compassion that not only do I recognize, not only am I familiar with how he got there, also he's showing proof that love anyhow is needed in a larger form, on a larger platform, in a larger masses. People need to understand why this brother was able to do that, while freedom is able to do that. How many of our Love Anyhow members and communities are able to have an opinion regarding wrongdoing, but they're compassionate enough to understand why it was done. I love you guys. For everyone who sends me love energy, for everyone who loves anyhow right now, choosing to do it in and on purpose because it feels better. That doesn't mean we don't deal with the situation. We deal with how we deal with the situation. That's the only thing I can control. I can't control the situation. We don't even have the power to change the situation. The only thing I can control is who and what and how I am in the midst of the situation. And I choose on all aspects that to be truthful in the honesty, but still love. I still recognize. And the truth is, that woman's spirit is so bothered. I don't have to speak on it. The truth is, I understand spirit. If you understand spirit, you ain't got to talk about it, because you already know what's it about. But I did feel like I needed to address the opposite side of us naysayers and us go-goers and us onlookers and all of us who, are embedded that same energy back into. To fix this problem has got to be done on a smaller, teeny tiny masses. You guys think that masses is large platform of people. But the change is going to come, and will need to come on a pebble, a mustard seed. But this mustard seed be so full, inclusive of all the energy that you would think comes from the masses. Our change is going to come in this teeny tiny seed. And that's each and every one of us knowing how to frequent in this energy that we're in right now. That's where the change comes. Self. Everybody got something to say about somebody else. Everybody got an opinion. Everybody can point one finger, but got 3 pointing back at themselves. We've all been guilty of taking and giving wooden nickels. We've all been made of food the first time, a few times, and many a times, right? We all have. Nobody has a hierarchy of any. But we do. Because the hierarchy In my world, in the hierarchy of you, in your world, is you. When you got that seed. Full, complete universe is in your eyes. When you look down in them eyes, who we are, what's going on in this little space right here, up in here. You guys gotta have 3D, 4D, 5D vision to see what I'm talking about. The universe, in-verse, it's in here. So if you want to make change out there, you have to do it in here. And if you're embedded with the hate and unforgiveness and the judgment, and if you're embedded with that energy, you're only supporting what you see out here. You're not changing it. Go out and hug somebody today. Go out and hug somebody today and recognize the change that you feel. Recognize the change that you'll be responsible for on that person. Because a hug, and when you hug them tight. Squeeze them a little. Don't do that little tap on the shoulder. Don't do that. Don't hug me. People do that, hold them tighter. I'll squeeze them tighter. Do a real hug. And watch and feel why that man did what he did. Compassion is the interracial child of love and hate. Equal sides of both.